So let's talk about Adcore today. Okay, Adcore has just released its Q2 numbers, its Q2 results, and well, that's what we're going to cover in this video. As you know, Adcore is a position of mine. Before we begin, as always, nothing in this video is investment advice. And with that said, let's get started. So let's briefly recall Adcore's investment thesis, okay? And then we'll talk about their Q2 numbers. And let's go also over the highlights. Let's go over their conference call as well. So, Adcore investment thesis. So, Adcore is a digital marketing company. It is basically a digital marketing agency. So we are talking here about a service-based business, okay? However, Adcore, over the past few years, has been investing in a new division. The company has been investing over the past few years in some apps in this technology division. And the huge thing about this company, about this division, is that this technology division is like 100 times more scalable than the service division, right? And their apps and this technology division also has much higher margins. So, what do I think is going to happen? I think that, yes, this technology division is still small. It represents around 15% of total sales, according to the CEO, Omri, in the last interview I did with him. But what do I think will happen? I think this technology division will keep growing, which will lead to margin expansion. And over time, I expect Adcore to start delivering positive numbers more consistently. So that's what I expect. So that's Adcore's investment thesis in a few words. And with that said, let's cover their Q2 numbers. One last thing I would also like to recall is that this company is also trading at crazy cheap levels. I mean, Adcore is trading at an enterprise value of basically zero here. Here, enterprise value, $3.2 million. Meanwhile, this company has posted $25.6 million in revenue over the last 12 months. But anyway, let's finally talk about their Q2 numbers. So Adcore sales, Adcore's revenue went up 10%. Great sign. Revenue is growing considerably. Besides, another very important point regarding Adcore's Q2 numbers is that sales are growing in all regions. For example, sales are growing in the Asia-Pacific region, which represents most of their business, 52% of their business here. So, revenue is growing there. Revenue is also growing in Europe and the Middle East. It has grown 12% year over year. This region represents, as you can see here, 28% of their total sales. And finally, North America is growing again, 27%. So that's the first thing. Revenue is growing 10%, and it is growing in all regions. Moving on, besides, Adcore has posted an excellent gross margin. So it seems our investment thesis is progressing. But as you can see here, Adcore posted a 51% gross margin last quarter, which is the best margin we can see here, right? The best margin. Now, why did that happen? Here, gross margin expansion. Why? And here I took some parts of their conference call. I took the most important parts and I put everything here to make things easier. So gross margins were 51% compared to 47% in the same period last year. The increase in margin is due to the increase in revenue and the change in client mix. Okay, next part. So I think that the company, like we have different revenue streams. They have as I already told you. They have their service division, right? And they also have now the technology division. So that's what he's talking about here. So we have different revenue streams, and we are focusing on the revenue streams that are more profitable for the company, coming with better margins. And I think this type of strategy is proving itself. So what do I think is happening? I think their technology division is growing successfully. That must be the reason why gross margin is expanding. After all, only the technology division has such high margins. Besides, another very important point, North America is growing. And as Omri said in our interview, Adcore was going to focus on North America to grow precisely their apps division. So that's what could be happening here. Moving on, the company is still losing money. Adcore posted an operating loss, an operating margin of negative 7.9%. That's not good to see. However, I think they will turn things around. Now, let's understand why that's happening, right? Here, as for operational expenses, research and development expenses for the quarter were $0.6 million compared to $0.5 million in the prior year. The slight increase in expenses was primarily driven by increased use of AI-related tools. Okay? Now, SG&A. SG&A expenses for the quarter were $3.7 million compared to $3 million, an increase of $0.7 million or 22%. The increase was mainly driven by payroll-related expenses and was partially impacted by foreign exchange rate fluctuations. So, that's what's happening regarding operating expenses. Now, let's talk about the solution. So, I think the biggest, I would say, line item of expenses for the company is obviously employee cost. So that will be the first place that we need to tackle. Some heads will roll, right? So I think we are planning some employee cut or reduce the number of employees. That's one. So that's what the company is considering to reduce costs. Now, when will that happen? When will the company start to reduce cost? And I think all in all, in terms of timelines, we want to do the majority of, let's say, effort or saving efforts during Q3 2026. So basically, we might have some carry on, but the idea is to enter Q4 as far leaner and slimmer company with, I would say, ideally, SG&A costs drop by 15%, 20%. That's the goal for the company. So that's why I think the company will turn things around, okay? And then, well, if revenue continues to grow, and if the company continues to improve its margins, and if they can cut costs, well then, I think it should just be a matter of time before we start seeing positive numbers, profits, okay? Now let's continue. Finally, the company ended the quarter with a net loss. However, what I expect is going to happen, as I already mentioned, as I already told you, is that these numbers will become positive at some point. Regarding cash flows, the company has burned $0.3 million in operating cash flow. However, it's very important for us to understand why that happened. So that happened here. An analyst asked, "You mentioned the cash flow working capital decline is largely seasonal and should reverse in the second half of the year. Could you please give us a bit more color on the expected timeline for that recovery?" And here's what the CFO said. Yes, definitely. So basically, historically, Q4 is like the strongest quarter of the year for the company. So we do expect to see a recovery. The decrease we are seeing now in the first half of the year is partially payments for Q4 of last year. So it's something pretty usual in the company in this. Now, let's better understand what's happening here. What happened was the following. Q4 2025 was a very strong quarter. Revenue came in very strong. However, one thing is for you to post revenue and to post net profits. Another completely different thing is cash flow. So yeah, the company's sales took place in the fourth quarter. However, the cash is only coming in now, some quarters later, while the payments, while the costs for the company to deliver these fourth quarter very strong results, while these costs were still being paid in these last 2 quarters. I don't know if that was confusing. I hope not. But from what I understood, this is mainly a seasonality issue, and we should now start seeing more cash coming in. So we should now start seeing, for example, positive operating cash flow. And with that, I expect Adcore's net cash position to improve, because now here they have $2.4 million in net cash only. But I think this position is about to increase in the coming quarters because of the cash of these sales that should start coming in with more force, so to speak. Anyway, sorry for the confusion. I'm trying now to record my videos without teleprompters, without reading nothing. I'm trying to record authentic videos, and this is actually kind of very hard. It's very hard, especially since English is not my native language, It's not the language I speak every day. But anyway, so that was it regarding cash flow. Now let's talk about how their technology division is progressing. So here are the main points to be short. So proposally, Adcore's big promise continues to develop. In just 6 months, it has evolved from a document workspace platform into a platform centered around autonomous agents that cover the entire sales funnel. So, leads, contact, proposal, negotiation, closing, post-sale, upsell. So, this app, proposally, which is Adcore's big promise, I think this app could indeed be a big hit. But they are now improving this app. I don't know whether they have already paying customers for it. I think we've covered that in the last interview I did with Omri. I think they have like beta clients. In any case, proposal is a big promise, and they keep developing the platform. Now let's see what that does in terms of sales, in terms of revenue, right? Moving on, AI Studio, which from what I understood is an independent app, is already generating revenue. They already have paying customers and are receiving positive feedback. Significant technical progress. They initially promised 3 agents, but ended up delivering 5. Inbound agent, outreach agent, deal agent, customer agent, AI Studio agent. So, with that said, what are my expectations, right? So, as I wrote here, I think that Adcore will continue to grow, and that their technology division will also continue to grow, which will lead to margin expansion. So, I think revenue will continue growing. I think this revenue will have a much better quality because it will have a higher overall gross margin, and that, together with the company's cost savings initiatives, I think that will lead the company to start delivering profits, to start generating a lot of cash flows. So I think the financials could improve like massively. And man, once that happens, I really think it should only be a matter of time before the market realizes Adcore's value and how cheap this company is. And well, Think about that. I mean, today, as I told you, this company is trading, so 25.6 million in revenue. What's their enterprise value? 3.2. So 3.2 divided by 25.6. So Adcore is trading at an enterprise value to sales multiple of only 12 times. 12 times. Now let me ask here, ChatGPT, where would this company get in terms of stock price if it traded at 1 times enterprise value to sales? So here, if Adcore traded at 1 times enterprise value to sales, this stock would need to get to 46 cents. Where are we today? 9 cents. So, yeah, we could get here, around this area. And you see, a multiple of 1 times enterprise value to sales is not aggressive at all, you know. So in the end, we could actually see Adcore reaching much higher multiples. For example, what if Adcore traded at 2 times enterprise value to sales? So the stock would need to get to 88 cents. So yeah, that's the kind of upside I think we could have here. And let's recall that we haven't even considered growth. So that's why I like this investment, you know, because I feel this is a safe stock, since the CEO owns like 70% of the company. So the guy has all the incentive in the world to make this company successful, to deliver. I'm buying this company at crazy cheap levels, at almost a negative enterprise value. And at the same time, I have a lot of upside. So these were the highlights of Adcore's Q2 results. And what can I say? I would like to buy more shares in September. I don't know if that's going to be possible because I'm facing a very difficult situation at my job, so I might need to save some cash. That might be an intelligent choice. But anyway, let's think about that later. In any case, I still think Adcore is a very, very, very interesting buy. And again, nothing in this video is investment advice. So, did I like their Q2 numbers? Yes, revenue is growing, gross margin is expanding. They will probably reduce costs. So I can see the company improving and getting to the green, right? And well, it will be very interesting when all this improvement appears on the financials, because then I think it will appear on the stock price. That's it for today, and see you next time.